First item on our agenda is citizen concerns. For any item that's not already addressed on the agenda, are there any citizen concerns? Seeing none, I'll move item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Second.
Second by Radig. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 3 through 7 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3 is approval of the minutes of the January 2nd, 2020 meeting. Item 4 is approval of the claims. Item 5 from Human Resources includes A, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. Melissa, there was one that was no longer necessary.
We initiate hiring. For juvenile detention, we do not need to authorize that hiring. Only then the resources, a part-time clerk for that.
Okay. Is that item C that we don't need?
Yes.
Okay.
Item C.
So there will be no action on item C.
There is action for the part-time
Okay.
HR clerk.
And item B, approval of request to deauthorize county position. And item C, authorization to initiate the hiring process.
So we'd probably have to delete C from the agenda then, correct? Yeah. What's that?
Just amended C.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And item number 6, the county auditor. Receive the appointment of City of Bronson council member. And item 7, from public bidder, approval of resolution for notice of property sale for a parcel also known as 3431 Morgan Street, setting that for Tuesday, January 21st at 4:35 p.m. I'll move the consent agenda. Second by DeWitt. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Passes 5-0. We're not yet quite at a set time, so I'll skip to item 10, any reports on committee meetings.
Tomorrow we will have a Rolling Hills meeting for our mental health region, and we'll report back. They are looking at a per capita that has an increase due to the nature of legislatively mandated services that are coming down. So we'll take that up. We'll also look at the reserve level. I'm not sure if you track the legislation, it actually went up that you could have an ending fund balance of up to 40% now, and I believe the projection is to be at 39. And so there's two things that could be done with that. One is that some of that fund balance could be used for some of these new services that are mandated. I'm of the belief that we need to look at lowering some of the levy, or maybe a combination thereof. My concern is that it's one-time money for ongoing expenses if we start a service with ending fund balance. So we'll have a thorough discussion tomorrow and report back. That's all I've got.
Millman?
Thank you.
Well, by my count, we're at 4:34 here. So we will go ahead with item number 8. This is the public hearing and sale of property parcel also known as 2nd Avenue. Begins with a public hearing for anyone that would like to speak for or against the sale of this property. Is there anyone who would like to speak for or against the sale? Okay.
Hearing none others, Mr. Chair, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Second the motion by Taylor. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. We're now in the bidding process. Anyone who would like to approach the podium, give their name and address and their opening bid on this property, please do so. Yes.
I'd like to make the opening bid on the public hearing for the 864-306-456-003.
Go ahead and state your name there.
Judy Faber. I am bidding for Kevin Ravitch.
And the opening bid,
763.
yes, $763 plus fees. Is there anyone else who'd like to bid on this property? Going once, going twice. I'll move the property be sold on behalf of Kevin
Ravitch.
Ravitch.
Raievidich.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Potabom. Hearing no discussion. All's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. You can see Heather there for the details. Move on to item 9 from Board Administration. This will be sort of a catch-all item on the agenda each week, as we discussed last week, up and until the bond vote on potential new county jail comes to pass. This is a public forum. I intend this to be for information unless action is needed and noticed on the agenda. I'd like to work this by opening up to the board first, if we have any thoughts since the last week on the entire process, and then open it up to staff to answer any of our questions we have, and then any members of the public who saw the discussion and still have questions or have some extra feedback for us. So is there anyone on the board that would like to open up any discussion items?
I would like to bring up a couple factors in our existing jail, the repair and showers in cell block D, and then the valve project that we had on our agenda. Kenny, can you kind of give us an update on either of those as to what is going on with those projects?
Sorry, Kenny Schmitz, Building Services Director. Yes, these are probably a couple of items that are probably new to the board that I haven't been talking about much. We've got one detention cell shower that has been out of commission for approximately 6 weeks. And the jail staff has been trying to do a really good job of working around that shutdown. The problem is we have a leak somewhere inside the poured concrete floor for that drain to that shower. We've taken a couple of weeks to try to identify where that's actually coming from. It's unidentifiable unless we do some demolition work, which we do plan on doing. We've got to get this shower back in operation for several reasons. One, of course, the jail staff and the inmates need this shower just for capacity reasons, but we're also now finding, and that's what's really driven this to the forefront, is it's turned into a cleanliness issue. Some of the inmates have been doing some rather unparticular things in that shower area since it's been non-utilized, and we believe it's become a slight health problem. And so now we're going to take the necessary steps to get that back in operation. We're really not sure what that's going to entail. We do know it's a leak, again, inside the poured concrete somewhere. We don't know if it's in the drain trap or if it's in the drain line somewhere in that ceiling or floor, but we plan on demoing that within the next very near future to determine what that is and do a repair. We also have another item that is probably of larger scale. About a year and a half ago, the board heard me talk about valves, water valves to our combi units. Combi units are a sink, toilet fixture that is used in the detention cells. We had talked about a year and a half ago about replacing those valves. Parts were becoming difficult to find. The update to today is we had not replaced those or done anything with those valves. We now are finding ourselves in a situation where we have one cell combi unit that is not working and it's shut off and we can't get parts for it. We have several different companies looking and searching for us, trying to get those parts. If we don't come up with parts, we're going to have to do a complete body replacement for the unit that's currently not in operation, and we're going to have to look at replacing all of the other units at a substantial cost. I don't know what the figure currently would be for that total body replacement, but something we'll definitely be looking into.
Kenny, this affects all cells,
This affects all cells,
all prisoners?
all prisoners. This is something, these valves are something we work on day in and day out, almost weekly. It's, you know, there's just a lot of use. It's something that's in 24/7 operation, and they're just worn out. But they typically wear out. If we put new parts in a valve body, the new parts just continue to wear out. There's that much use. It's like replacing a valve in your kitchen faucet at home.
Might go 2 to 3 years and
Yes,
just kind of get worn out.
yeah, so that's the update on those.
Out of curiosity, is there, because I know on the sewer side of things at the city, they maybe line a sewer line. I don't suppose they make like a 2-inch drain pipe liner that could be like a Band-Aid, at least make it usable, not have to hammer out the floor and buy a stainless steel ceiling and.
Yes, we have, not necessarily a slide-in liner, but we have looked at or thought about a material that you can actually pour in and line the lines with. I don't know, there's positives and negatives to that. I certainly don't want to do that unless it becomes absolutely necessary. And I think if we can, again, that's like a
It's just a
fixing a
Band-Aid.
radiator, car radiator that's got a leakage problem. You may do more damage in the long run than they do at the short term, so. Fixing it right,
Right.
I always think is the best option.
Yeah. Something else I guess we discussed was going out to local councils and kind of getting a schedule of that going. Dennis and I were planning to go to Salix tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I haven't told them yet, but hopefully they're having their meeting and we can get on their public agenda part.
Sounds good.
I'm going to bring back the Taxpayer Protection Act. And as a resolution, I talked to Joshua a little bit in terms of how we could make that so that it had some teeth and could trigger certain provisions. And it sounds like we cannot do more than a resolution in letting the public know the board's intent. Should some of that federal revenue not be available, so I'm planning to bring that back next week.
The only thing beyond that's an ordinance, so that would be, but this is definitely the best way to put us all on the record, so appreciate that. Any other thoughts on the board first?
For the jail authority, Ron Wick, Bob Scott, and I are going to be meeting Monday at noon. I believe we're going to elect the officers, their positions for that at that point. And then I think, was it Monday, that information is going to go to the city council for approval?
Dennis,
Dennis Butler. Yeah, the authority will meet noon on Monday. In that private meeting, they'll adopt their bylaws, which they'll be getting a copy late today or first thing in the morning. You'll be electing your officers, and they'll make a motion to have a resolution to call an election, but that'll be filed Wednesday after the council meets Monday afternoon at 4:30. They're going to approve a concurrence resolution saying they can concur with the election, and then the board Tuesday night at 4:30 during our meeting here will pass the same resolution, only it'll be county city, and then that'll suffice, and then they'll file for election on Wednesday probably.
And I'd point out the reason why this part is moving fairly quickly is because there's already been some background work and assistance with the city council in choosing the same bonding attorney, correct?
Yes, it's been a great help having Allers because they use Eric Bowler and we use Jason Comiskey. So it's been a great benefit. Their city attorney has reviewed all of this already on their side. And if not, Joshua will get the same information for the county side.
Very good. Anything else on the authority?
Not at this time, no.
Any public questions on it, or?
Any members of the public willing to give their thoughts and opinions on the jail? There'll be other times. I wanted to bring up a question on electronic monitoring. Sorry to put you gentlemen on the spot, but the board does receive reports on the jail, the number of people in the jail, and also on electronic monitoring. For anyone who has questions or concerns about how often electronic monitoring is used to keep the jail population issue okay, do you have anything you can share on that front?
Electronic monitoring, I guess, we're not utilizing it quite yet to relieve the pressure of the population. Anybody that's on EM right now first has to be court ordered to it, be eligible with their crime. There's certain crimes that you're not eligible, any violence or certain level, you're not eligible to be on electronic monitoring. And then it costs the defendant, the inmate, extra to be on electronic monitoring, so they have to have the means to pay for that. So I guess to say we're using it, we're not using it to keep our numbers yet. I mean, that is an option, but the way it works is there's a company, I think we use a company out of Lincoln that gives us the bracelets and the GPS system, and the daily fees that the inmates are paying us pretty much go to pay for the rent of those machines. If we were going to do that to say, hey, we want to put 10 people on EM to lower our numbers, well, then the county's going to be paying that fee to rent those things. So it's going to cost us money one way or the other.
Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to get out there is that we're already doing what we can on that front.
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you. All right, are there any other comments on this item? Very well. We'll move on to item 11, citizen concerns. Are there any concerned citizens on an item not already addressed on the agenda? State your name and address.
John Williams, 1613 West 17th Street. I just wanted to verify the times for Mr. Taylor's hearing. Pat, you said it was 1:23 at 10 o'clock. The other one is 1:27. What time was that one?
10 o'clock, I believe. And
10
that is
o'clock
not
also.
set or published yet. Is that correct, Joshua?
Sorry, to make sure I'm on here. It has not been published yet, so we want to make sure that it's a time that works for everyone. So that's the tentative time, but when it's officially published, then I guess that will be the set time. But
Yeah, probably ballpark that time then, give or take. Oh,
we're hoping it can happen on that day.
Okay. All right, that's all I need to know. Just let you know I'm still around, Jeremy.
Yeah, I saw you at 6:31 AM on this.
Yeah, you should be careful who you chase down the street, so you never know what might happen.
Well, I'm the Grandview resident.
I have other people in that neighborhood, so, and that's another reason.
So we're going to get back on track if you're not going to speak at the podium. Thank you. Item number 12 is board concerns. Anyone on the board concerned?
I have got to, I wanted to apologize to our local radio station there on the discussion last week. I kind of jovially asking if I was misquoted, but it was actually, they played a direct quote from the meeting. So he pointed that out to me, and I just wanted to make that clear that they got it right on that. And really the disagreement was between those involved in the story, so.
Sounds good. Anyone else? We are adjourned. Excuse me. We have quite a few board concerns that Dennis mentioned he was going to bring up, but he's been quiet.
Which is, I think,
We've been through a few of them here, and the one we want to get to now is actually potentially delaying the budgets another week. And I'd like Michelle to come up, and there's logistical reasons why. When we present the budget to you, we want the payroll and the operating all together, because we need to know where we're at with our tax askings, where we're gonna intend to head to. So what we'll try to do next week is I'm gonna look through and see everything, whoever department is, does not involve payroll. That way we can probably knock out hopefully another dozen little departments. I can't include county library because they set their own payroll. So I can include a few things. So basic thing is to know why we aren't, getting there. There's some pretty good reasons.
Michelle Scaff, Deputy Auditor. So I just want you all to know that I have been working diligently on trying to get the payroll budget completed. We started very late this year compared to past years. Normally we should be starting this in probably September or October, but we had an employee absent for 3 months, so it made it very difficult for my department to function without me having a hands-on role in the day-to-day activities. So within the last few weeks, I've been really hitting it hard with the new Tyler program. We have a whole new program called position budgeting that we're using to forecast the payroll budget. Previously, we had a program in HTE, and part of the projections include step raises and so forth. So if an employee gets a raise halfway through the year, we were always able to budget that pretty much to $1 or $2 on that individual employee. And the reason we were able to do that is because we had a homegrown program written that talked to HTE and was able to calculate that out. Well, now that we're not using HTE, we no longer have that intermediate program tied to Tyler. So there's going to be a lot of manual calculations to calculate those step amounts out for the annual amounts for about 100 employees. So basically that's what I have left to project is the employees with step raises. I'd answer any questions that you might have.
This is just a 1 year, it's only going to happen this year. We're just trying to implement new software, and we've ran into some issues. So we apologize to the board that it's taken a little longer than what we anticipated, but Michelle has been working 7 days a week to get this done. So just wanted to let you know.
So Dennis, do you estimate next week we could have either half an hour or an hour worth of budgets that don't involve those items?
I can let you know probably tomorrow morning, but you're probably close to it, half an hour. It won't take long for the one-liners, because a lot of them are budgeting reserves. There are carryovers that come across, plus new revenues. In a few cases, it'd be half an hour.
All right, so for the board's information, we're anticipating a closed session at 3 p.m. next Tuesday, another one at 3:30 p.m. So that means this budget review would either be set for 2 or 2:30.
Can we do it after the meeting? Just throw it on the agenda and at the end of the meeting? Because there's nobody that needs to be there for that one, is there?
For which one now?
You say it was library and what else?
Well, any one-liners we have. If it's like the county attorney's office, I'll give them the courtesy to let them know what we're going through. But most generally, he really doesn't need to be here.
They're not going to be there for one-line items.
Be like forfeitures. They got 145,000, that's what we're gonna budget. But it
Why don't we
needs
just put it after the regular agenda?
Sounds good to me. Anyone else? Any problem with that? All right.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to reiterate that I've been down here a couple weekends now, and I verify she's been here a lot. Like I say, I'm surprised the white coats haven't come for her, because she's on the verge, but she's been good-hearted at it, and it's good.
So unfortunately, on the 21st, when we start up on our budgets, I know 2 of you will be out of town. Is anyone else going to be out of town? Or any of the 2 that'll be gone intend to call in?
I intend to call in.
Okay. Very good. Anything else, Dennis?
Nope. I think we're.
Are you sure?
You sure?
Positive,
All right.
positive.
Yes, I was slightly concerned about the exchange a minute ago. Is it okay for, I mean, I didn't sign up to have people show up at my house with cameras at 6:30 in the morning and, you know, checking to see where my spouse is or where my kids are or where I'm at. I just don't really think that's right. And then to make a comment about, I've got people in your neighborhood, I don't know, I just think that's getting a little on the threatening side. That's a concern I now have. But
Let me just say I appreciate that, because there are those who will think it's humorous, and then there are those who will see that, and I intend to fully let people know some of the things that have been going on. As was just mentioned, at Grandview Boulevard, when my son and I were walking out. So, I
mean,
guess people have a right to put my kids' pictures out there, and to do what they're doing. I'm going to take steps to protect my family while demonstrating that what I have said is the case. So
I don't know, I just,
I appreciate that.
I guess I just have a real issue. I mean, I have 4 kids, you have 6, and I get how hard it is to stick just 4 kids in a house, let alone 6, and I know Marty's family can probably go even bigger numbers than that, but it's not okay to, I mean, you have guard duty, you're running for Congress, you're out of town often. It's just not cool that somebody's essentially stalking your family and then admitting to that in our board meeting.
Very much. And I think there are those who will see what this is, and I look forward to that day, so thank you.
End of concern for me.
Adjourned.